Racing to the 2021 Kentucky Derby, and this time we go to the Saratoga of the South, Oaklawn Park, and the $1 million Rebel Yell. It's got 8 horses entered, starting at the rail with one of the 2 race co-favorites. I think betting here is going to come down to Caddo River and Concert Tour, but a very interesting race because I think what we're going to see here is pace and the dynamics of that 4 and 6 furlong fraction are really going to probably determine who wins this race. Now, Caddo River won the Smarty Jones Stakes at Oaklawn Park, did it in front-running style. Brad Cox trains, and he's one of the few trainers that has adopted an aggressive style with some of his horses. He'll put his horses on the engine and on the lead, and that's been important in some of these stakes races because a lot of times these horses can get out there and just kind of be the alpha of the race. Caddo River dominated the Smarty Jones. He ran against good horses at Saratoga. I like the fact that he's got a little bit of a foundation. Now the rail probably forces his hand a little bit. I think he'll be sent early to at least establish position, but I don't think you want to give up that lead from the rail spot. So Caddo River was most likely going to be on the lead anyways, but it's always a little bit better to be the outside speed rather than to be a possibility of getting pressured from the outside. But he just may be faster than some of these other horses. His speed figure fits on the Brisnet scale, a 96 the last time out. Meanwhile, you've got Big Lake. Now, this is a horse who was able to open up the last time by 6 lengths, but he did it with a lot softer fractions. Steve Asmussen always seems to have horses in these Oaklawn Stakes races. He's got 2 in this one. Been kind of a quiet 3-year-old year. He's got a lot of horses in these races, but nothing really of quality besides Midnight Bourbon on the router scale. He's got a couple of nice sprinters, but Big Lake, he seems to be fit. I like the fact that he had a couple of nice preps for this. He's probably going to come off the pace in this race and could make a run if they get a little bit leg weary on the front end. Now, Hoser is very interesting. The second Bob Baffert entry in this race. Debuted, bet down a little bit in his maiden raker, faded back, then came back and picked up the victory on the stretch out ships, and he could maybe come off the pace if Concert Tour is put up on the lead. I think Hozier has a little bit of long-term potential. He's really being thrown into the deep end here and having to ship in his 3rd lifetime start, but definitely one to watch out of this race. Her Number won the Grade 1 American Pharoah Stakes as a 2-year-old, beat the nice Rombauer in winning that race, then was pointing to the Breeders' Cup. They opted out of that one. Took him a while to get back on the work tab, but he's been working out now for well over a month and has a nice good string of 6 furlong workouts, seems to be fit. He doesn't need the lead. He did get the lead the last time in a paceless race and kind of inherited that lead, opened up, and then was able to withstand the run of Rombauer in that race. I think Her Number is going to come from just a little off the pace, but if the fractions can be more like 112 and change, I think Her Number can be competitively placed in that spot. And I think Caddo River is going to want to separate himself from Her Number going into the turn, into the stretch. Twilight Blue seems to be a little bit outclassed in this spot. Speed figures are about 5-6 points behind the top contenders. I'm going to eliminate him from the win end and from the place end. Keepmeinmind, the 3rd of the big 3 entrants in this race, was going to run in the Southwest Stakes. Then the bad weather came. Then they decided, lost about 7 or 8 days of training, missed a workout. They decided to come back here, didn't want to face Essential Quality in that race, and Jackie's Warrior. Now, Jackie's Warrior didn't really fire that well in the Southwest Stakes, so who knows, that may have been an easier spot. I think overall, Keepmeinmind is probably better than Spielberg, so a little bit against it. But he did have a nice 2-year-old foundation, got plenty of races underneath him, ran in some high-class races. Really, this might be the means to an end here. They might just be looking at this race as get him out there, see what he can do, close into the pace, and then really crank him up for that final prep, which could be the Arkansas Derby or the Bluegrass Stakes. Concert Tour, the 2nd big favorite in this race. Bob Baffert trains. Back-to-back nice wins to start out his career. I like the last race. Forget about the race that Freedom Fighter ran in Gotham. He came out and fired a good race. He probably regressed off that. I like the workouts by Concert Tour. I think he can get the distance, especially a mile and a 16th to a mile and 1/8 is a great distance for him. I like horses that run 7 furlongs and then stretch out to a mile and a 16th or a mile and 1/8. He's outside the speed of Her Number and Caddo River. Question here for the truth, Joel Rosario, who's ridden him in both of his efforts. Does he want to sit back in third and get that first over slingshot trip, or does he want to apply pressure right from the latch, or even try to take it to him early on? Baffert usually likes to try to get that lead. He's the big dog out west. Brad Cox with Caddo River is going to determine whether he gives up that alpha spot from the rail, and I just don't think they're going to do it. I think Cox has got Caddo River cranked. I think they're going to go out there to win this race from the front end on the engine. The outside horse is Super Stock, the second horse trained by Steve Asmussen. A good horse, more of an allowance, maybe a grade 3 type horse later on this summer. Could see him in the Northern Dancer type race at Churchill Downs or something like that, or maybe in the mountains later on this year. But a thrilling rendition of the Rebel Yell on Saturday. I'm going to go with Caddo River. I just think he's got that high cruising speed. I think he's going to be on the engine. I don't think they're going to give up that rail position and the lead position to Concert Tour. Concert Tour does have the speed to go with him. If they get involved in a duel, it could set up for Keepmeinmind or Her Number. But a very interesting game of chess is going to be played on the front end. And I think Brad Cox is going to be one of the few trainers that'll give Concert Tour a run for his money on the front end. Rebel Yell, who do you like? Leave a comment below. Remember, Mondays we've got the Future Book. We recap the preps from last week. If you like this video, hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications as we lead you up to the 2021 Kentucky Derby.